Hello, this is The Way of Fairness. My name is Stephen Childs. That's either George Washington or George Fox. George Fox is the founder of the Quaker religion. So I'm the founder of the Church of Fairness. And my dilemma is how to make it fly, metaphorically. It's not flying yet, it's still on the ground. So, I have this interest in understanding reality, physics, psychology, spirituality. There's Sabine Hosenfelder is a proponent of Superdeterminism, and so am I. In Zen Buddhism, I heard that every snowflake falls where it's supposed to fall. That's Superdeterminism. And if you believe in God, it's God's infallible will from the farthest past to the farthest future ahead is all God's will, and God already knows it because he's all-knowing. So same thing as superdeterminism. If there doesn't happen to be this supreme being and this somehow happens on its own. So they ask the question, why is there something other than nothing, rather than nothing? And the simplest answer, Occam's razor suggests, the simplest answer is usually the one that's the truth. Well, if God created this from nothing, then you could say that it's still nothing, except God makes it something. Now, if there's not a God, what's the simplest answer? Why is there something rather than nothing? Well, maybe there's not something. There's only nothing. So nothing is what we are, nothing's what the universe is. So that matches with Buddha's idea of emptiness. The cup is empty. There's not anything in the cup. So Buddha said that that which has form is exactly that which is formless. And that which is formless is exactly that which has form. It's two sides of one coin. So it's still nothing. It always was nothing. It's nothing now, and it always will be nothing. So we've got rid of that question. We've been asking the wrong question. Why is there something rather than nothing? Instead, we could be asking, how is it that nothing can be like this? Well, that's what science is for. That's what psychology is for. That's what spirituality is for. If you base truth on, if your spirituality is truth-based, which many of them claim it is, but then are they really brave enough to make it so? To accept what is actually true? And change the religions accordingly? See, if we do that, then the Church of Fairness is going to fly. Because that's what it's going to do. That's what it's already doing. But I have great opposition to this idea that we should all be required to be fair to everyone. Why not? We're required to stop at red lights. We're required to not steal other people's money. So why not just skip a whole bunch of steps and a whole bunch of paperwork and save a lot of time and just make it required that everybody be fair to everyone else? So this is explained in the World Fairness Agreement. The Fairness Court is the idea that we'll create. And So I want to go back to the science and superdeterminism. So there's two questions, according to Hosenfelder. One is the measurement problem of the two-slit experiment. And superdeterminism totally eliminates that from being a question. Like if we could prove that we live in a superdetermined reality, we wouldn't be wondering what's going on with the measurement, because it's already determined to go that way. Up until the end of time, it's determined to go that way. To go the way that it's already known to happen. If we could only know what's next instead of what's just right now. And because I have precognitive dreams, I was forced to believe something does know the future, like Nostradamus, like prophecies. So, if you believe in the all-powerful God, then it's God that knows. And if you don't, then who is it? Who is it that knows? Why are they telling me? Well, they're extremely advanced extraterrestrials, perhaps. What else? What else would it be? I don't know. There's maybe other possibilities that nobody's even thought of yet. Besides extremely advanced extraterrestrials that have advanced their knowledge and their understanding to the point where they can just look to the left and see the future and look to the right and see the past, or vice versa. That's simple. So, maybe they don't see all of it, but they can see some degree of it. Okay, so the other big question is gravity. How does gravity fit into superdeterminism? And it's like the biggest mystery. Well, both of those are huge mysteries, the measurement problem and gravity. When I was, 21 or something, 22, I had this idea that gravity is because the universe is expanding. And at that time, we didn't know that the universe was accelerating its expansion. We did know that it did expand when I was 21. 1976, 1977, say. That era. So, now we find out that it's accelerating. And that's all we need is for a linear acceleration of the universe to make a linear acceleration of gravity. So when I was a kid, I was like little teeny. And now I'm as big as a mountain in comparison, because we have to have that much expansion to account for permanent gravity. Like on planet Earth, we call it 1G. So this is just the thought that I think may turn out to be reality. It solves the gravity problem. There's not any gravity. There's just laws of motion. I know that sounds completely bonkers, that would just keep expanding our size as humans. Every day we're much bigger than the day before. But so is everything else, so we can't even tell. The only way we can tell is because we have gravity. So, where there's no limits in the universe, whatever it is, it can expand as much as it wants, into as much room as it wants. So it's not a thing to have a problem with how big it gets. It's not a thing at all. There's nothing in the way of it. Okay, now I want to shift over to the spirituality category from Zen. My favorite book of all time is Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind by Shunroi Suzuki. And I realized yesterday that his name Shunroi is like a takeoff from Shunya. It's very similar. And it means zero. Shunya is the word that means zero in Sanskrit language. And there's an argument that they were the first people to use zero as a placeholder in India. Shunyata is a major concept in Buddhism, and particularly in the Zen Buddhism that I'm talking about. I only know about Soto, which is what Shunroi Suzuki was Soto Zen master, and then I've recently become much more knowledgeable on Rinzai Zen Buddhism. And Rinzai is the one that has the koans, the riddles that you try to figure out. And Rinzai was rather fierce Zen master. They have a stick, they hit you on the shoulder if you start falling asleep while you're sitting there doing your nothingness. And I saw a video one day of the actual Rinzai school somewhere doing their thing, and the master was telling him to tell him what this is. And finally this monk, he got from within, it came out, it just happened from within him, and he had this fierce power to fight back against something. It's incredible. So, I've not become attached. I've surrendered my attachment to the way of fairness, church fairness, team fairness, the World Fairness Agreement, the 3-step fairness agreement, which is like a short form of the idea of the whole thing, in just a few words. So I'm just ready to throw it all in the trash and go on without ever dealing with it again. So that's what I did. I went, a friend asked me about meditation, and he doesn't want to drink. And I thought, I'm so glad that he reminded me of meditation. So I told him about meditation, Zen style, and also Thich Nhat Hanh, he had a book about mindfulness. So I need to practice mindfulness of making this video right now. So I'm not thinking about anything else. There isn't anything else that exists, just this now. And it's actually everything. It's all it is. So there's the small mind, which is my ego self, and the big mind, which is everything. From the farthest past to the farthest distant future. That's what the big mind is. And so when I know it's all super determined, every snowflake falls where it's supposed to be, I die exactly when I'm supposed to, and there's not anything that can stop it. Same with everyone else. So we used to think that. People would say, I argued against it. People would say that we die when our number's up, and that's it. There's no more discussion. And I thought, no, I don't believe that. Now I absolutely believe that. Total fact for me. I guess you could say it's faith in that being true rather than a fact, because I don't have any evidence other than my precognitive dreams, and the scientific explanation for reality's strangeness as being superdeterminism. So I'm delighted that it's all falling into place. So like with people, they give themselves to their concept of God. They surrender totally to the all-powerful God. And since I'm an atheist, I surrender totally to super-determinism. I surrender totally to super-determinism, and something's attacking my mind and I can't think straight because it doesn't want me to leave God out of the picture, and that makes me angry. So I'm going to keep saying it a few times. I completely surrender to super-determinism. I completely surrender to super-determinism. I completely surrender to super-determinism. Not to a God that I don't think exists. Isn't that weird how it fights me? And you probably know what I mean. So, this is what the Renzai monk was getting a hold of to fight against this power that wanted him to surrender to somebody. And he's like, no, I will not. Our big self is the all-powerful all. It's the totality. It's the block universe. If you want to do a search for block universes, it explains it metaphorically, super-determinism. I was talking with a friend at the coffee shop, and I told him how the video on the movie channel, the music channel, they have the same theme, country, man wants woman, the temptation, the desire for sexual pleasure, and the basic difficulties of life in getting that. That's kind of the level that most of those country, not all of them, but a large portion of them are about that theme. And that's like one of the major experiences of being human. It's definitely one of the most fulfilling and reality creating. Emotions are created, desires are created, value is created. And like the value we have for our families, that's depicted on them too. The value for our friends and family. That's wonderful. So I've seen it. I've already been through that. I went beyond that to wanting more than anything to be able to stop thinking, especially if I'm thinking dumb thoughts, stupid thoughts, and I just wish I could make it stop, but I can't. But that's where Zen meditation is so valuable. In practicing that, practice stopping those thoughts, and just have a blank mind. You don't have to think of what am I going to think now, something positive. No, just stop them. And if it comes back, stop it again. Just keep stopping the thought. And then, remember that I've completely given myself to the super-determinism. So I don't have to worry about anything because it's already determined. That's a great relief. So you can call it God, all-powerful God, if you want. I don't care. I'm not arguing against that. I'm arguing against people being unfair for any reason, including me, including my dumb thoughts. Like thinking negatively of some other person as if I'm above them. No, it's all super-determinism. We all count exactly the same because it's all one thing. And it manifests as marbles, humans, kittens, stars, black holes, etc. So the self that we have, because of non-locality, it's the self that the universe has, because there's just one self. If you adhere to biological evolution, there was the first being, probably maybe even before there were genders, that had a sense of self, and we got that sense of self. It kept replicating and multiplying So we have the same sense of self as our farthest back ancestor that had a sense of self. We have that same sense of self. So there's one sense of self, and it's the self that the universe has, because it's all non-local. That's what the big mind is. It's your big self. People say, well, I am God. That's what they're talking about. I'm the big self. I'm not going to use the God word. I don't want to. So are you the big self. And I'm not going to say it your way. You can say it your way. I get to say it my way, and you get to say it your way. Okay, so I want to talk about truth. I think it's a factual thing. There's one absolute truth, and it's superdeterminism. Or it's God's will. I don't buy that. I don't think there is one. I think it happened on its own, randomly. Some people use the word accidentally. So there's no purpose in it other than when we are created from our parents, from the succession of evolution, we have a purpose to find that one we love and create children. We evolved our purpose. And our purpose is to not get killed above all else. That's our purpose. And then some people have this purpose of helping other people through religion or through humanism. I'm trying to through the way of fairness and the World Fairness Agreement, so we can stop all the wars and all the poverty, all the crime, and all the hatred, all the wrongdoing one to another, because we have a rule against it that we all agree to. And then everyone's forgiven. We don't care what you did, because you made this thing happen, so you're exonerated. That's a Christian idea. You're completely absolved of any guilt. That's a Christian idea. You're forgiven. That's a Christian idea. So the same beings that teach me were teaching the people back then. It's so clear to see this. Once you get able to understand, then you see this understanding everywhere. And you see this superdeterminism happening again and again in your path today. And it can just blow your mind. The synchronicity, the coincidences that happen that tell you in events you're on the right path. So there's death threats. Somebody this morning, I'm waking up and I hear a voice. The opponent or the teacher has an opponent. Teacher says, I want you to die. And I'm thinking, well, I want you to die then. And then I had another thought. And another, and then wait a minute. It's superdeterminism. It's not up to you or me. And whatever will be, will be. Freedom from that. That thought had no power. Superdeterminism makes someone else telling you what's going to happen irrelevant. They can tell you all they want, but it's not what superdeterminism is going to do, or God's will is going to do. See, these two ideas get along really well, as long as we stop being unfair to each other. And it doesn't matter if it's Satan, or Lucifer, or Jesus, or Kali the Destroyer, or Shiva the Destroyer, or Mother Mary with her love for the child. The power of love is a big theme in Catholicism. The love for Mary for the Jesus child. And so we love Jesus, represented as this sacred baby that was born as human. That's a wonderful myth. To me, it's a beautiful mythology, if you interpret it in a way that's not harmful. I always interpret it with some Gnostic ideas also. Like Jesus is the snake, and the snake was right. And so this tyrant God doesn't have power over us. Mother Mary does. Has more power than the tyrant God. That's mean to the kids. All the kids are going to go with Mother Mary and leave that guy. You're the laughingstock, claiming to have all power. And Sophia, his mother, wisdom, says, "You're wrong, my son. The Father's above you." It's like, get your things in the right order. What's the first cause is a typical proof of God. There has to be a first cause. Not if it's nothing. Nothing doesn't need a cause. That's why it's so interesting. And it's a wonderful conversation if we're not killing each other over it. It's about understanding. It's about protecting other people from their own selves sometimes until they get their thinking straightened out. When somebody did that for me, I'm just totally grateful. And sometimes it's the law, the land. You're not being fair to other people, so we're going to have to handcuff you and put you in jail, Steve, for 30 days. I couldn't get bailed out no matter how I tried. Just a simple, easily bailable offense, public intox. And I don't know if they call it public anymore. And there was other things that happened all in succession. It was super determined. I had to go to jail to get my health back because I had nothing to do but exercise several times a day. And within 2 weeks, I felt healthy and I realized I can drive truck again. That's what I did. And then the pituitary tumor, I can't remember the chronological order. I started driving truck after. There's some stuff I'm not remembering right now, so I'll just skip that for now. It's not going to go anywhere. It's in the block universe. Is one moment follows another moment, and they don't ever change in the past, and they don't ever change in the future. So nobody can get away with anything. I've been fighting this battle with other people so that this tyrant God doesn't get control of me, and they're on its side in my perception. And there's a fight, so they could actually take over and kill us, like Islam could, or would have to surrender to Islam, or would have to surrender to the Christian nationalists. And so I fight against anything that's taken away my freedom. And that has been interesting that I was fighting it. And now I think I don't need to fight it because I think super-determinism will stop it for me. So it's a faith thing. And it's the knowledge, the belief that my greater power, these advanced extraterrestrials that are atheists like me, they have more power than the laughingstock tyrant God the Gnostics talked about. And that was the God of the Old Testament, by the way. So people in the Jewish people themselves have been trying to get this to change. Some of the Jewish people were Gnostic. I'm quite certain. They might have kept it very secret because they had authority over their own people. They could have easily been stoned to death because there were people being killed for being Gnostic. And I think Jesus was. And that's why they crucified him. Like St. Stephen, you can see that he's talking Gnosticism, but they've covered it up. And I'm only talking about the kind of Gnosticism that means that we have superdeterminism. I'm not talking about mythological gods. I'm an atheist. So those stories about all these gods are stories about aliens that are trying to keep us under control. I was given a dream about them. Now they might work through Christian nationalism. The Archon, the Demiurge, wants Christian nationalism to rule USA. And they're telling people that we shoot dogs in the face. People are saying it's a puppy. We shoot puppies in the face. And we storm the federal building and stop Congress on January 6th. And we put scaffolds out with nooses on to threaten vice presidents. And we want a civil war, and we're going to shoot people in the face because this is what we do. We value ammo more than anything else. Lots of ammo and lots of guns. When we had our last civil war, all we had was rifles, cannons, swords, and I think that's all we had. You know what we have now? I don't either. Think about what you're doing before you cause a civil war. Have a great day.